All right, well, hello everyone. I hope you're all having a great Memorial Day weekend. Happy Monday to all. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. I see we have a comment on Facebook. This is quite early. But Nora Davis, hello from Valley Head, Alabama. Nora, I hope you are having a great Memorial Day. How are things going out there in Valley Head? That is a very beautiful area out there in DeKalb County. I hope everything is going great today. First, let's take a look at the weather and what to expect for the rest of your Memorial Day and the rest of the week. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis is here with the latest. Brad?
Well, good afternoon on this Memorial Day. So far, we've been spared the rain, and that's been great for those ceremonies taking place earlier today. Rain is going to be moving in, a few thunderstorms, but not as intense as the last few days. That's good because I think everybody's about wore out. We are expecting another round of stronger thunderstorms tomorrow, though. But again, we'll get through tonight with scattered showers, a few thunderstorms, especially, I would say, between 6 and 8 o'clock this evening. 76 right now, it's cloudy, and the cloud covers really helped us out as far as the intensity and the fuel for these thunderstorms. They kind of weakened just a little bit south of Memphis. Most of the action's near Jackson, but again, we'll keep an eye on it. More energy back to the west, and that's what's moving through here tomorrow. As we get towards 4 o'clock today, latest forecast guidance showing the showers and thunderstorms moving in, as I mentioned, between 6 and 8. Again, some locally heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, gusty winds. That'll get out of here. And then tomorrow morning, I think we start the day with a few spotty showers, and then that'll continue to move off to the east-northeast. But the stronger storms coming in tomorrow afternoon, locally heavy rain, frequent lightning, and once again, strong gusty winds. We are zeroing in on the 4th wettest May on record. Tomorrow's forecast by the hour, we're looking at a few thunderstorms in the morning, should be isolated, but a better chance late afternoon. And here's that forecast for the next 10 days. We finally get out of this pattern as we approach the weekend and the first week of June, feeling more like it should the first week of June after we get past another 1 to 2 inches of rain for the rest of this week.
Well, thank you, Brad. That is good to know. And we have more comments on Facebook. It looks like the Sand Mountain region of the state is very well represented today on Before the Four. We have Glinda watching from Eider, Roberta from Galesville. How are you all doing out there? I hope the Sand Mountain area is well today. And it looks like we have Grace from Russellville, kind of out in, I believe that is in Lawrence County, if I'm not mistaken. But you all watching Before the Four today, make sure to tune in to Weather Extra tonight at 9:30. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, he'll be back here in the CTV area, and he'll be giving you all the latest. But now we are going to turn over to a bit of news. Huntsville Fire in Hemsey, they're responding after a person reportedly fell from a cliff in the Three Caves area at Montesano Nature Preserve this afternoon. Now, first responders went to the scene to perform a high-angle rescue of the victim. According to Don Webster with Hemsey, he tells us the victim was taken to the hospital and is in critical condition. 48's Faith Delp will have more on this scary situation coming up in our evening newscast, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But now, a story in case you missed it over the weekend. A person is dead and another injured after an overnight shooting in Huntsville along Seminole Drive. 48's Noah Cowell went to the scene after the shooting and has more. Let's take a look.
This shooting happened around 4 a.m. outside an apartment complex on Seminole Drive. It's an area where residents say they hear gunshots often. They say a shooting like this was bound to happen. None of the witnesses wanted to go on camera because they don't feel safe. But one woman told me she heard the gunshots this morning and came outside to see Alexander Dennis Sr. lying on the street. She says he was with some friends and he was walking them back to their home when he was shot. She says he had a girlfriend and kids and that he was a good guy.
Well, now let me pull this back up. Of course, as I mentioned, today is Memorial Day, and today many gathered in Huntsville and Madison to remember those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. What you're seeing on screen was earlier today at Huntsville's Veterans Memorial Park, which began this morning at 11. Attendees at this morning's event remembered fallen heroes with a wreath-laying ceremony. The event also included music from both the Rocket City Chorus and the Huntsville Concert Band. We spoke with one veteran, David Ladner, at the event, who says Memorial Day is always an emotional time. Let's take a listen.
It brings back so many emotions and stuff. That's the one thing about Memorial Day. It does. It brings up, it makes you remember your comrades and all that's gone before you. People hadn't seen this, they did come out and look at it because it's a somber place, it really is.
And we'll talk about more of the Memorial Day events going on across the Tennessee Valley coming up in our evening newscast, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But now a solemn remembrance at the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. NBC's Jessica Albert spoke to people who came from across the country for the annual Flowers of Remembrance event. Let's take a look.
Flower by flower. People from all across the country remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
It was emotional. I've never been here.
Aaron Williams from Iowa is also a veteran.
I wanted to bring my daughter, she just graduated high school, and kind of show her, some history and just to show honor.
Obviously, as my dad being a veteran, I think it's cool to be able to see from a new perspective, like closer up.
This is the 4th year Arlington National Cemetery has held Flowers of Remembrance. It gives visitors to the cemetery a unique opportunity to honor the fallen for Memorial Day.
Flowers of Remembrance was a tradition that was started in 2022 to give Americans the opportunity for the only time each year to walk across the plaza at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and lay a flower. And the idea here is that we want the public to connect with this gravesite.
Another tradition at the cemetery happened just a few days ago. Members of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, also known as the Old Guard, placed American flags on thousands of tombstones on the grounds.
Memorial Day is a solemn holiday. It's a day of mourning when Americans are coming together to honor the war dead. And this really goes back to the Civil War. It's a way that the Civil War stays with our country today and reminds us to honor those who gave their lives.
Freedom, sacrifice, and remembrance. That's what Memorial Day is all about.
That's right. And now coming up after the break, today I got the chance to talk with a local political expert regarding both state and national politics. This after the state legislative session came to a close, and more of what Huntsville police officer Bruce Jansen had to say about Crime Stoppers. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. I see we have a couple more comments on Facebook this afternoon. Clara Vines from Scottsboro, Alabama. Hello, Clara. I hope you're having a great day. As well as Christine Tinker. She is watching from Flat Rock. Thank you all for watching before the 4. I greatly appreciate it. But now the Alabama state legislature recently came to a close, and today I had the chance to speak with local history and political expert Dr. Wayman E. Burke for a 48 Now interview. Dr. Burke is a former poli-sci and history professor at Calhoun Community College. We spoke about a range of topics in both state and national politics today. Take a listen to what he had to say at the state level following this last session and a key player who could run for governor in 2026. Let's take a listen. My first question, last week, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, he announced he would not run in the governor's race in 2026, but a potential run for the Republican Party is, of course, Senator Tommy Tuberville. If Tuberville runs, how do you think that race would go? Would he be a lock for governor, or could you potentially someone coming in to contest him?
Well, politics is a strange institution in that I never like to think of something as certain. I would say he would be the odds-on favorite considering his popularity and polling and so forth. But I would definitely think it would be probable. But you never know in politics. Stranger things have happened.
That is very true.
I was surprised that Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth, who was from Gunnersville, and I think a lot of people here were excited about the possibility of a North Alabamian possibly being governor. But I know he's got a lot on his plate. His family is very prominent, of course, in this area. And they have a lot of business interests and so forth. But I know there were some folks here who were very disappointed that he is not running.
Right. And if Senator Tuberville does decide to run, how would you think a Tuberville, Alabama would differ from a KIV, Alabama?
Well, it's a crystal ball question, I guess. But I think Governor Ivy has always been rather reserved. She's not a battleship, so to speak. She's, I guess, more of a submarine. That she does things quietly and so forth. And of course, Senator Tuberville, and I've met him a few times. You know, he's a nice enough guy and everything. But you know, he's more right there in front of you, if that makes sense, and maybe more battleship oriented than submarine oriented. So it would probably be more interesting headlines for you folks in the news.
Right. And Senator Tuberville is expected tomorrow to make an announcement on whether he'll run for governor in 2026 or not. So stay tuned for that full 48 Now interview, which will be published on our website within the next day. And speaking of 48 Now interviews, recently I welcomed back Huntsville police officer Bruce Jansen to the station, where we spoke about Crime Stoppers and how efficient the national program is, especially when it comes to catching the suspect. Let's take a listen.
When I started, we moved to the call center, and you know, we got one of our sponsors to sponsor the call center because it's, you know, it's manned 24/7, and our tipsters now are able to call at any point in time. They don't get an answering machine; they get a real person on the phone. They get to give their tip, and the call center is great because if you call, and you know, I'm the only one in the office, so if you called and I'm out of the office, you went to a voicemail, and then I didn't get the voicemail until I got back. Well, now if you call in the call center and you tell them, hey, this person is wanted, they're there at this location now, the call center will call police dispatch, whether it's here in Huntsville or wherever the person may be, Decatur, you know, Limestone County, wherever. Our call center will sit there and call the police or sheriff's department or whoever in that area and say, hey, there is a wanted individual that was run on Crime Stoppers. They are at this location. will you please send the police? And actually some of our tipsters that will be paid in June that I took to the board this month in May, their calls were like that. They contacted the call center. The call center then contacted the appropriate dispatch and said, hey, there's a person at this location. Police were sent and an arrest was made. And because that arrest was made off of that tipster's tip, that tipster is due a cash reward.
It was great catching up with Officer Jansen for 48 Now. You can find that full 48 Now interview right now on our website and YouTube channel. Just go to the 48 Now section and you can find and watch it along with all the other 48 Now interviews that we have. But now let's turn over to the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. The Paint Rock Volunteer Fire Department, they're holding a barbecue fundraiser for a family who lost a father and son in a crash on Mother's Day. We'll talk about details of that fundraiser coming up. The search is still ongoing for a missing woman in the Gadsden area. We'll talk about that. And finally, details on the annual Cotton Row Run. 48's Cam Durr will have all the latest coming up in our evening newscast. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up. And now it is that time. It is time for Facebook Fun, our 48 Facebook question of the day. How are you spending your Memorial Day? And let's see what you all are up to. Let's see. Looks like Sandy is boating. That is always a great way to spend your Memorial Day weekend. Awesome. Eating fried chicken and bluegill fishing from Jeff Bradford. Cannot go wrong with that. Sarah is working. Sarah, me and you both do not get to do any bluegill fishing, fried chicken eating, or boating today. I am at work. Greg is at the beach. You lucky son of a gun. I wish I was at the beach. I was at the beach last week, but would love to go back. And then Debbie said, much needed time at home resting. And there is nothing wrong with that. Enjoy it. And just like Lisa, she is home sweet home. Well, sounds like you all are having a great Memorial Day. I hope it only continues to get better for you today. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's evening newscast. That's about all the time I have for today's Before the Four. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and you all have a great night.